G'day and welcome to the Hunting Connection podcast. My name is Zach Williams and I am your host. Here we'll connect you with hunters, fishers and outdoor enthusiasts from around the globe. This podcast will share hunting and fishing stories, including past experiences, and tackle the tough hunting stereotypes our community faces. We hope to be a positive influence to those outside the community while also having a laugh along the way. Hope you enjoy the podcast. G'day and welcome to another episode of Hunting Connection podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by Matty White. How you going?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Just got home from work, Friday afternoon, ready to get the weekend started.
Absolutely. I'm at home at the moment anyway. I'm looking after the kids for the holidays, which is cool. So
yeah, beautiful. That's awesome that you get to spend that time. My kids are off at my parents' house for some of the school holidays, so we get some peace and quiet finally, which is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's something you don't get too often, is it?
Oh no, I'm looking forward. Sleeping until like 7:30 tomorrow.
Beautiful. Yeah, no 5:30 wake up.
Yeah, no 5:30 wake up. Go out for breakfast before we pick up the kids, so it's going to be good.
Yeah.
For those are the people that don't know who you are, give a brief intro. You're a pretty interesting guy. You've got many talents.
Yeah, probably my main talent is annoying people, but no. So like I grew up in Goulburn. I've been bow hunting now for maybe a bit over 10 years, probably. So I actually started quite late, considering I grew up on a deer farm. And yeah, I left Goulburn maybe 20 years ago and came up here to Canberra to get a trade and just haven't left. It's in the middle of everything, really. Like it's a quick shot to go and trout fish, or, you can fish the lakes for Murray cod here. And obviously, we've got the rivers and all that sort of jazz, and, deer are close by, or, a quick shot down to Victoria isn't too much either. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's surprising that you've only been doing it for 10 years, because you're a pretty knowledgeable guy when it comes to bow hunting and deer. And I definitely, watching your stuff, I definitely learned a lot from it. I've been bow hunting for about 16 years now. I've always had a small recurve, growing up and just flinging arrows around as a kid and trying to get rabbits, but I never started taking it seriously till the end of high school. So, yeah, no, that's awesome to see how far you've come in such a short period of time.
Yeah, thanks, man.
What actually got you into bow hunting then?
Look, I've always had an interest in the outdoors. I was pretty lucky as a kid. Like, we didn't have a lot of money, but, Dad would take us to the bush all the time, always in fall driving. He was part of the raft fire team, so, we're out abseiling or hiking and stuff like that. And I think it's just like a bit of a natural progression, especially, growing up on my grandparents' deer farm too. Like, I've always just been around deer, and then, to transfer some of that knowledge that I knew from that time in my life. When I finally actually managed to cement some access, it just all clicked. It all just came together. And, after then, I just couldn't stop. It's an addiction that's just it's in you forever. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. You brought up that you grew up on a deer farm after my last episode just dropped, when Jack mentioned he grew up on a deer farm. What type of deer did you grow up around?
So we had mainly red deer and fallow deer.
Yep.
There were things like black bark and stuff like that on the farm. Pop imported some wapiti from New Zealand there at one point, but they kind of just struggled. They really struggled in the environment over here, being jammed into a deer paddock. Australia is not the kindest place, I don't think, for wapiti that have spent a fair portion of their life in New Zealand. So yeah, that didn't last too well, but mainly reds and fallow, man, which was awesome.
So
yeah, they were everywhere.
was he a part of the velvet industry, or was he farming for meat?
Yeah, no, it was the velvet industry. So it started as being part of the velvet industry. Obviously, that started to slow down a little bit. I wouldn't be able to tell you what year that sort of happened, but then they moved into like Chinese pharmaceuticals and stuff like that, and traded a lot with the Chinese, and did reasonably well out of that, obviously. And then they retired down the coast, which is awesome. But yeah, I definitely miss the place, and I have a lot of fond memories from running around on that farm. So
That's
yeah, it
awesome.
was awesome.
Blackbuck, they're a cool little critter. I've only seen them, at a joint here called Monardo Zoo, and was lucky to be with one of my mates when he took one in Texas at a high fence property over there, and they're a cool little critter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would have been awesome. Yeah, the last time I saw one was at the zoo too, man. So unfortunately, no one's let any out yet.
Yeah, I don't know how that'd go. It's unfortunately, and fortunately at the same time. There's not going to be any new ferals really taking or
No.
introduced. I had this conversation with Ian on last night's podcast. We need to stop calling deer ferals, and we need to, refer to them as introduced. But that's another subject.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that sits strongly with me. Like, yeah, like what are you going to do when they're all gone? Whittle wood. Like I enjoy whittling wood, but I definitely prefer hunting deer more.
yeah, that's it, man. Like it's something that I spoke with Ian from the Hunters Campfire podcast last night quite heavily about, and it's just one of those things. Like I'm torn because I got into hunting. I've always grown up hunting with my pop, and watching Steve Irwin growing up, hunting for me was always about conservation. It was always like, we need to shoot as many rabbits and foxes and goats and all that as we can, rah, rah, rah. And then I got into deer hunting. I'm like, oh, I fucking love these animals. Like, I don't want Australia not to have deer, but also understand why we need to, limit the numbers in the environment at the same time. So it's that constant internal battle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like there needs to be more onus on us as hunters too. Like obviously to do the right thing and respect the animals, definitely with your photos and stuff, but also to try and take some more does out of the population. If we can actually show that we're managing it to some extent, hopefully, I don't think we will, but like hopefully we can slow down the helicopters a little bit. You know what I mean?
That's
I want them around. Like I want to be able to hunt them. So
yeah, that's exactly the conversation that Ian and I had last night. So it would be about 2 weeks before people hear that. So it's yeah, one of those things. I mentioned that last time I went to Victoria, I seen about 150 deer in about 3 days, and I said to him that I passed up a bunch of hinds and passed up young stags, and he's like, well, if you're over there, why did you do that? And I'm just said why I did it, and then he brought up that we should be dropping more hinds and does and young animals to try and drop the numbers. I'm like, yeah, it's one of those internal battles, because I was looking for a stag. So if I shot those first few hinds and young spikes and stuff that I've seen, you're gonna bugger your chances for a stag, and that's how most people are when they go into the bush. And then if you do shoot a stag, you don't want to deal with the extra meat and pack out and stuff. But we also spoke about how, we have to, as much as it's a waste, we have to kind of feel comfortable with dropping and leaving some animals while we're in these state forests and stuff as well. I know it's a waste, but it's a, if the Invasive Species Council sees us doing the right thing, they're going to push less for, like you said, helicopter culling and thermal and baiting and stuff like that.
yeah, and I've only just changed my opinion on this probably, in the last couple of years. Like I was very much of the, I'm here to hunt a big stag or a big buck. This is what I want. Like I just don't want to drop. Like I don't need to. I don't want to drop the hammer just on absolutely everything that I see. But now I'm like, the meat's still good. I can use the hides for stuff and, all the rest of it. And now I'm like, maybe I should, be taking these does and not just, scaring them off or throwing rocks at them so I can get to the buck. You know what I mean? Because it's not doing us any favors.
No, that's it. That's it. I know we briefly touched on it, but bow hunting, like what made you pick up your first bow? Did you meet someone? Was it an archery club?
Yeah, so I just decided one day, I jumped online, I bought myself a bow, and like there wasn't much around. I think I'd watched a little bit of like Solo Hunter or something like that when it first ever came out. Tim, I think it was. I grabbed a bow online, and then I went into the local archery shop here and to grab some more stuff, and then yeah, that led into me basically shooting at the archery club for a couple of years and did quite well. Like I wouldn't be able to do it now, but back then, like consistently top 10 in the country, and really enjoyed it. And then, one of my good mates that I met through the archery club, like he had some access and I managed to get on there and yeah, it just all went downhill, man. Like
It does that. It does that.
Yeah.
What was the first thing that you shot with a bow?
I was a fallow buck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. That's a quite an achievement. Not many people, you know, are able to get a buck with the bow for their first animal. Normally, it's my first animal with a bow was carp, out bow fishing, and then a doe and some goats. Yeah,
I wish we could do that in my state, but we can't.
yeah, it's such a funny one, like because you can travel into New South Wales and do it. Victoria, it's banned. South Australia, bow hunting's banned, but you can bow fish. Like it's such a weird thing. And then different states, like you can't bow fish freshwater, but you can bow fish saltwater, like Queensland and stuff like that. Like I've always wanted to bow fish stingrays and sharks and stuff. Like that looks like so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's footage of a fella shooting a big tiger shark off of a whale carcass with a bow, and that's pretty epic.
I imagine that's pretty controversial footage.
Oh, yeah, 100% is, but it's would be a hell of an achievement. Like you look at the old school American archers, they were doing that on massive sharks back in the day, which is just insane.
America has a pretty cool hunting history, hey, and it's very rich and it goes back a long time. So
Well,
yeah,
every country does. Australia does, New Zealand does, England, all of the European countries, Africa. Like hunting is our heritage. Like no matter where you're from, it's one thing that we all have in common, whether you use a bow or an atlatl or a woman spear or it's just one
yeah,
of
absolutely.
those things. So yeah, so you took your first deer with the first buck with a bow, which is a wicked achievement. How long into your bow hunting career was that?
Obviously, like yeah, I'd done a lot of archery, so I could hit the middle reasonably well. Um, yeah, man, I'm gonna have to say that it was pretty early. Like it was within the first couple of months.
Oh, that's amazing.
I actually started to try and hunt these animals. And yeah, I just got in there and copied some doe bleats, and yeah, this thing walked in and I just got really lucky and hit it well, and yeah, it didn't go far and just piled up, and I was ecstatic, man. I was over the moon, and then I ran a little bit of a muck after that. Like I think I killed like 4 or 5 bucks then, like that year.
That's nuts.
Yeah, like I was like, this is awesome. Like, let's just keep doing it. And because I happened to like move into the house that property was on, it made it so much easier. Like I could literally just walk down the paddock and just go and hunt deer. Like it was probably a 3-4K walk. But yeah, they were right there.
That's insane. I don't think I've killed more than 3 deer in a year with my bow. That's a hell of an achievement to do, especially bucks. I've
Yeah.
taken a few does and yearlings, and it's with the bow. To me, it's still whatever walks out. It give me a shot. I hunt for meat and I hunt for dropping some numbers. So if
Yeah.
a doe walks out and she stops, I'm gonna punch just behind that shoulder.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty good. Like, but then like the second year, I felt the struggle. Like, um, it was up until probably the last couple of years, he was the biggest buck that I'd shot, and he wasn't great by any standards. But I hunted that thing from like April all the way into August. I think I shot it on like the 2nd of August. And it was killing me, man. Like, because I just wanted this one deer, and I think that experience made me a lot better too, because I wasn't just sitting behind a rattle and just shooting whatever happened to be coming in. Like, I was actually trying to stalk this deer. And when I got that one, like I haven't killed that many deer in a year since. But yeah, like I think that changed everything for me. Like, I learned so much about the deer, even beyond what I'd seen on the farm and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, actually having to stalk one for that long and blown stalks, and I missed him once, and like, it was just a disaster. But yeah, I managed to get him on a really frosty morning with no shoes on. I thought I was going to lose my toes, but yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. What do you reckon you've been able to bring over to hunting from growing up on a deer farm? Like, your knowledge about deer, what's helped you be successful?
Oh, look, like I've always sort of like had an intrigue into like animal behavior, like, like their habits, how they like to behave, what calls they respond to, even just like the vivid memories of the noises that they would make in the paddocks, especially around April when they were all just going nuts. A lot of that helped, like, definitely. Um, so yeah, if anything, just knowing how deer move and behave, and what scares them and what doesn't, and you know things like that. And yeah, being able to call them has been like literally, it was like my number one thing for a long time. So like, obviously hunting that deer outside of the rut was super difficult for me. Yeah.
That's crazy. With calling, is it the doe mew that you're doing, like the mew mew? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
that's awesome to hear. A couple, I don't think I'd ever heard it in the wild before, but I was out stalking in one of my blocks a couple years back, and I was slowly walking along with the bow, and I could just hear this doe and this fawn just talking to each other in the bushes, and I just stopped and sat there and listened. It was so cool. Like, they were just chirping like for a minute there
Yeah.
before I seen them. I'm like, what the hell is that noise? Like, just hearing him communicate like that was so cool. And I would have been 10 meters away from him on the other side of a bush. So it
Yeah,
was
nice.
so cool.
Yeah, because you'll call the does in. I did it with a mate when I took him out hunting. Like, we called in like 20 does. Like, they all just came running over, like we were some sort of lost fawn out by itself. They all just comes steamrolling in. I was like, oh, don't shoot them.
Yeah,
Let's go and get this croaking.
they come into protection mode. I just had a mate from America come down, and we'd stalked the property with the rifles and didn't see anything. And we got back to the car, parked up on next to the boundary fence and chucked the guns in the car. And he's gone for a piss, and over the other side of the road where he was pissing, he's looking into the neighbour's property, and there's two does just down the bottom of the gully feeding. And he's like, "Look, there's deer, there's deer." So I've walked over to him and started mewing, and then yeah, bam, they've just come running in, and he was blown away. He's like, "Why couldn't they be on the other side of the fence?"
Yeah, it's always cool when you take someone new out and you call in a deer, and they just like, it blows their mind, and you're like, yeah, this is what it's about here. Like,
No, it's awesome, and deer are just cool critters, and the different species, watching how they behave differently. Like they're all very similar, but very different at the same time, which is just cool to see. And it's like going to Victoria last year and seeing three species of deer on one hunt. That just blew my mind. That was just incredible. You know, go one gully there's sambar, another gully there's reds, and then there's fallow in the mix as well. That was freaking wicked to see.
Yeah, I've only ever seen one property like that, and it wasn't far from the Victorian border, and it was insane. I was like, how does this even work? Like, what are they all doing? But yeah, like they weren't like together, but like you were saying, like you walk literally into the next gully, and it was a totally different species of deer.
Yeah, it would have been cool to bag one species in each gully on the hunt, you know, to get a photo with all three species just in one photo. But yeah, like you said, you love animal behavior, and that's one of your interests. I'm not sure if you do it for work, but I see you work with dogs quite a bit. So give us a rundown of that.
Yeah, so I do a little bit with dogs. Like it's generally just like a hobby that I have. I did a lot of stuff with like PSA, and I had a German Shepherd. He was a bit too nervy though. When I say nervy, like a tendency for like fear aggression.
Okay. Yeah.
Which isn't a good thing to teach a dog like that how to bite someone.
No.
Like you want it generally a pretty stable dog, but yeah. So I love dogs, and I love training dogs, and I love learning all I can about their behavior. And I think like a lot of animals are similar, even humans. It's just the same rules apply to everything. So yeah, I'm hoping to maybe I'll get a GSP or something like that and go hunt sambar with one, which would be super cool because it's a skill set that I don't really have in the dog world. I can get a dog to do a long stay and to heel really nice and all that sort of stuff and potentially bite someone. But, getting a dog to like track and trail and things like that is a totally different animal. So yeah, I'd be super keen for that. I just need time and money.
Yeah. You said
young kids, got none.
Yeah, no, I get it. You said an abbreviation there before, PSA. What's that stand for?
Protection Sports Association.
Okay, so is that training like security dogs and police dogs, or?
It's down a similar road. It is a sport. So it's like you might have heard of IGP before. No, okay. So it's a protection sport. Okay. So basically, you get points for how well your dog heals, how well the dog goes into the bite and stays in the bite. They have to go through a bunch of distractions like past, 20, 30 balls and fluffy toys, and a decoy might throw one out in front of your dog and it has to just refuse it. Or they might do like a fend where, in the higher levels, someone like the dog might have a muzzle on or it might not, and it has to get round an object to still bite them. Or, in the really hot, like in like level 3s and stuff, you might have they might have to attack someone in the back of a van, and they'll have like obviously chainsaws with no blades on them, of course, and, all sorts of noise and throw buckets of water all over them. And, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it really.
No, that's cool. Like I know nothing about any of that when it comes to it. I've got my workmate's brother breeds German Shepherds, and I'm guessing that's what you mainly work with, because that's what they're used for.
Yeah, Malinois are super huge for it. Hey, yeah, the Malinois. Yeah. Everyone's got Malinois. You see Shepherds, but like just not as often anymore.
Yeah. Like you post the videos up working with your dog there, and it's. I'm not sure if it's a boy or a girl, but it's at your feet the whole time, and you're doing the walk in. It's going between your legs. That ship looks pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not here anymore. So because I got rid of him because of that nervy issue.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be mean, but I'm kind of like training a dog for purpose.
Yep. No, I get it.
So if it doesn't work out, I just basically gave it back to the breeder, and the breeder found a new home for it. So,
yeah, beautiful.
And he'll make a perfect pet for someone. He'll just probably react every time the door doorbell goes. You know what I mean?
And that's
So,
pretty common with those species anyway, with those breeds anyway. You know,
the more
but
highly strung they are, the more tendency they have to be nervy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, training a hunting dog is wicked. A GSP or a wide hair pointer. I actually went hunting last September with my mate and his white hair, and it blew my mind. She's only a young dog, but just how well they pick up on stuff we don't pick up on was just insane. Like just watching how they react and you know like I'm used to border collie, still working dogs, border collies, kelpies, that type of stuff. But they've got that real yappy nature, where GSPs and these white hair pointers, they're just quiet and just so well, like really well tempered, but just so switched on. So it was so cool to see, and it would be so much fun. If I didn't live in such a small house with a small backyard, and my wife wasn't allergic to dogs, I'd get one.
Yeah, well, you're kind of out of luck there. I don't think you'll ever be getting a dog.
No, that's it. I just need friends with them.
Yeah.
But that would be definitely a cool thing to do is get a dog to a point like, there's Tony Gillihan, he's got his dog Remy, and he can bow hunt over her, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, well, that would be my aim to do that as well. And I need all help I can get.
There's a few
if I'm going to do for Samba and stuff like that in the future, I don't know, like having a dog would be just so handy.
Oh, it's insane that just how well they pick up on deer compared to what we see. And just how, she was running up, sitting ahead, and then like come back and not smell anything, then go up ahead again, and then like alert us to something as she's there pointing. You get the binos out, and there's a deer, and she's just there perfectly, 10, 20 meters away from a deer, and the deer doesn't know about her yet. It's just insane.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, they make less noise than us too. We're just bashing our way through the scrub. Like dogs just tiptoeing in.
Yeah, you step on a stick and the dog gives you devil eyes, man.
Oh, bro, what are you doing?
But yeah, oh man, I wish I could get one, but they're expensive, man. It's blown my mind how expensive dogs are getting these days. But hey, you want a well like a good breed, you're gonna have to pay. And I can only imagine, you coming from the dog industry, training and stuff, those dogs would be a pretty penny as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's dogs that are out there that are probably worth a fortune. Like, yeah, people pay big money when they're fully trained, and like guys from like jails and stuff like that are buying dogs. Like they get decent money, but I'd say like the guys who trained them and fed them for that long is like they're still in the negative. Like they're not really getting their money back. Even if they sell the dog for 20 grand.
That's nuts. And dog people are crazy, man. Dog people are like horse people and cat people, and I've been around enough people that show whippets and stuff like that, and it's just a crazy industry. It's like if you think horse girls are crazy, stay away from dog girls.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a funny thing. Jumping back to bow hunting. But like you said, it's cool, having the different, being able to work with different animals and seeing that they have different, like similar aspects, and you can learn different things off of it and behaviors and stuff like that. When it comes to bow hunting, especially for newer bow hunters, you're reasonably new to it. But what would be your advice for someone getting into bow hunting and chasing deer?
Oh, man. Same advice I try to give myself every time. Slow down. I constantly tell myself, I'm like, I guarantee there's deer over here, and I just walk in. They just run away, and I'm like, oh, yeah, nice.
It always seems to be at the point when you're giving up, you've been going slow for so long, and then you're like, oh, I'll just get through this next bit so I can get over this ridge, and bam, that's where the deer are. Yeah,
and I would also just don't focus on sign too much. Like, I think it's an indication that they're in the area, but like I don't really look for it. I'd just look for the animal, just look for the deer. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? If you focus on that rather than, looking at trees and shit that could be fucking sheep shit anyway, like, or tracks, you know what I mean? And the neighbours fucking had his sheep out there. Well, like I wouldn't bother, I'd just look for the animal and just try and take it slow. When you locate them, you can move as quick as you want then. But, once you get sub 100, just take your time.
It's funny. That's complete opposite to the advice that Ian gave yesterday on the podcast. Him and the other Hunters Campfire boys. They host a state forest hunt every year where they invite people to come down and book days with them or just share a camp. And they've helped a bunch of people be successful. And the one thing that they point to is look for sign. And and that's what help people become successful is actually paying attention what to look for. But it's one of those things, the more you do it, you notice the sign, but it doesn't, I'll take someone new out and I'll show them tracks and rubs and scrapes and what the shit looks like and that, and they'll be like stopping, oh, there's some more tracks, oh, there's some more tracks. I'm like, yeah, I've seen them, but it's, it's not important for me right now. Like, you're not going to be able to, if it's in sandy tracks, you're not going to really know how old they are unless it's like been a wet morning and you were there the day before. So it's just like they're interested and focused on those things. And I'm like, yeah, but there's deer just there, so stop looking at the tracks and get a move on.
Yeah, and that's how I see it too. It's like, it's good to, like, if I was to teach someone new, I would definitely show them what all the sign looks like. And, like what scrapes look like and all that sort of stuff. But when it comes down to hunting, like outside of the rut, like that's it. The rut's the only time I'd ever look for a scrape, and that's for like a fallow deer or whatever. Outside of that, like, I'm not really looking at the sign. Like, I like to know that they're in the area, but they could have rubbed that tree 6 months ago, especially if it's like a stamper or something, and it's like in a totally different state. Like, it's on its way to Queensland or something.
No, it is good to know that you're in the right area. You're seeing tracks and fresh shit and stuff like that. But it's one of those things. The longer you do it, the less you notice it, but you don't. Like, it registers, but you don't have to stop and look at it. Like, you're like, all right, there's shit, and you're still moving. Like, it's not even a second thought about it half the time, unless you're like in a new area and you're trying to find that sign to find where the deer are moving. Because it could be like you're going up the side of the hill and it's like there's a track, and they're using this level, and they're hanging around this height when they're moving through. So that's always good to know as well. But
definitely. It'd be like if I stumbled on like a lot of shit, like a lot of it. I'll be like, okay, they love hanging out here and eating here. I guarantee they're going to be here in the morning. They're probably already bedded in the tea tree now, but I'm going to come back tomorrow and have a look. But yeah, outside of that, no, I don't know. It's good to know, like you said, like you notice it in passing. When getting eyes on the go.
What's your favourite time to chase deer? Are you a morning guy or are you an afternoon guy? Or whenever?
Generally, I've shot a lot of deer in the afternoon, which sometimes can suck. Especially if you like me and you don't really pack anything and you're walking out with no headlamp. But like, I do like to go in the morning. And then, during the day, I might move around a little bit more or have a nap under a tree or something or go fishing. But yeah, like the mornings they're always good in the morning. They're going to be on those, especially this time of year, they're going to be a little bit higher up. They're going to be easier to see. They're all hungry you know what I mean? Like, they're just trying to fill up. So, morning time's a go.
Yeah, wicked. It's one of those things. I prefer to shoot deer in the morning. If I go out in the afternoon and I see deer, that's generally when I'm going to pass deer. Like, I'll just watch them because I don't want to shoot and then butcher and pack out in the dark. Where I'd rather deal with it all in the daylight.
Yeah, I've caught myself a couple of times, man, and I've been out before. I've been lost, like, in the dark because, like, I left no lights on back at my camp, which was a stupid idea. so I couldn't see it. Obviously, no phone reception, and like you can have your offline maps running, but they kind of still suck. And you're like, I don't even know where I am right now.
Yeah, some of those offline maps are pretty handy. I know I used Onyx Maps quite a bit before they changed their settings. And I used that over Snake Island. You could actually just download like the area you're hunting, and that helped out quite a bit. I'd leave pins, and if I found a cast antler or a scrape or whatever, I'd drop a pin on those, and then if I found one side of the antler, every time I go back to that spot, I could do a few circles around there looking for the other one, which I found pretty handy. I'd only ever found one matching set, but it was still good to use.
Yeah, I'd be pretty sick.
So you mentioned fishing before. You love your fly fishing. You post a lot of photos of you catching trout and stuff. What got you into fly fishing?
A mate got me into fly fishing originally. Like I used to do a lot for cod, especially around Canberra at night time. I'd chase those heaps, and like I've always liked fishing. Like it's just a good pastime. But then, yeah, once I picked up a fly rod and worked out how many trout you can catch using that in comparison to lures was just mind blowing to me. And then all the different ways, like it's confusing to start because there's so many different ways to fly fish. But once you work it out, yeah, trout fishing is awesome, especially if you get big ones, man. Like, yeah, they just towel you up. They got so much going on. Yeah, it's really fun. But yeah, fly fishing now is probably one of my go-tos.
No, that's awesome. You post lots of wicked photos, and that's another one of your passions by the looks of it is photography. You seem to take some gorgeous photos of fish and deer and whatever else. So that's awesome to see. Have you chased cod with the fly gear or?
I tried, and trying to cast a 10 weight fly rod is extremely difficult. It's way harder than people think. And I wanted to throw it in the river and never do it again.
Is it?
No, technically no.
Is it just because it's so much heavier to use? Like I don't know heaps about fly fishing. I've had a couple guys come on and talk a little bit about fly fishing, but I know bugger all.
Yeah, well, the Murrumbidgee's like it's a super tight river to fish in. Like it's a good sized river, obviously, but it's just surrounded in tea tree, and like trying to get through there with a fly rod and cast a fly rod is just so painfully hard. It's just easier just to use a bait caster, so you can just pump your lure in wherever you like. I really wanted to try and catch one on the fly, but it just didn't work for me whatsoever. So I gave up. I quit.
I really enjoy watching the guys chase cod in the Clearwater streams further up in New South Wales. That's freaking awesome, and especially when they're on the fly gear in there chasing them, that just looks so cool because we don't really have any fishing like that down here in South Australia. Our best cod fisheries, they're all stocked reservoirs.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, which isn't a bad thing. Like you just fish those at night or whatever, but
we can't.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Nah, it's they open after the sun's up and they close before the sun's down.
That sucks.
Yeah, big fences around them. So
yeah, because like cod are like a nighttime predator, man. Like that's when you want to be catching them in that big water when they're like cruising the edges and stuff. Because it's not like a river where you can try and find one in the fast water just waiting for a meal. But yeah, in dams and reservoirs and that, like, yeah, you got to be fishing for them at night. If you're not on a boat and, using live scope or whatever.
Yeah, no,
extremely difficult.
They open them up for kayaking. It's only a really new thing here in South Australia within the last 10, 15 years they've started opening them. They used to be just closed, like you weren't allowed on there at all. It was SA Water closed down all the land. I've got, probably hundreds of thousands of acres of all this bushland, full of deer and everything's closed off. But it was good to see that they opened up fishing and started stocking programs. And so, I'd only ever caught one cod before, and that was a small one in the Murray here. The Murray's about an hour from me, so I just caught that on a shrimp, just just bait fishing in some willows, and it would have been about 30 centimeters. So being able to, go from a 30 centimeter cod to, catching 60, 70 meter cod in the kayak, trolling lures around was awesome fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're a different animal once they get over like 90 centimeters, man. Like they're just a different fish. But they're still like a bit of a wet garbage bag, though. Like they fight you for like a minute and then it's all over. But yeah,
yeah, we're slowly starting to see some cod getting caught in that 80 centimeter, 90 centimeter. They've put. So the people that do the stocking, they've actually put some cameras in with some like cod breeding stations, so like you can watch the cod come in, lay the eggs and all of that. So they've got markers in there so they can work out how big the cod are getting, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that is cool. That is cool.
Like I said, they're all reservoir raised. As soon as they're chucked in the reservoir, everyone's catching them, and then you get that mortality rate from fish being released and caught over again and again and again. So it smartens all the bigger ones out, but it's cool, and they're starting to see breeding in these reservoirs, which was a thought that can't happen by themselves. All these people were thinking that they weren't going to breed, but we're seeing lots of signs and all of that of cod breeding in these reservoirs, which is so cool to see.
Yeah, that is cool, because I think there was some huge blackwater events, wasn't there? Like 3-4 years ago, I think. Yeah, and it like killed a heap of cod, like a heap, and they were ancient too, man. Like 20, 30, 40-year-old fish.
Yeah, I remember Jack Spinks was posting up a bunch of photos in those Blackwater events, which is just absolutely crazy. Speaking of like the Blackwater events, we've got this huge algae burst here in South Australia at the moment, and it's just killing our saltwater fishery. Right in the Gulf here, it's just everything's rolling. Like we're getting great whites rolling belly up on the beach. Really? We've had about 6 in the past 4 or 5 months. We're getting dolphins, all the stingrays are dying, just everything, seahorses. It's fucking insane. Yeah.
I don't watch TV, so I have no way of keeping up with that stuff. So
yeah, well, it hasn't been reported on heaps. Like it's a lot of citizen science going on. The environmental minister is the same lady that banned bow hunting in South Australia. And she's been really, really quiet on it, which is quite suspect, especially because just before the event kicked off, they ramped up the desal plant in the area where it first started kicking off, and then they also turned one on in Kangaroo Island as well, where they had these algae blooms happen. So my thoughts are, and I don't know how accurate they are either, but why they're being so quiet is because this excess salt getting dumped into the Gulf is causing the hot water and the algae to kick off, and yeah, it's just sucking the air out of the water and killing absolutely everything from seals to great whites.
Income. That's wild, man.
It's insane.
Not good.
No, it's going to kill SA stuff, and it's going to increase seafood prices, which sucks because I'm a seafood lover.
Yeah, well, you'll have to move closer to some trout, mate.
Yeah, well, trout are good fun. Like I said, I sent you. I don't think I even sent you photos, but I've caught some small ones here in the Adelaide Hills. But again, it's just stocking in a few small streams that a few of the fishing the fishing clubs do, which is pretty cool. But yeah, nothing compared to the trout that you've caught. What about saltwater fishing? Do you get much into that, or are you purely freshwater for trout?
No, I do saltwater as well. Like I like chasing brim, stuff like that. Flathead's a bycatch for me. I don't really eat a heap of seafood. So like even with my trout, like I might take maybe 5 a year and I'll cook them super fresh over the fire wherever I happen to be. But yeah, I like catching a good brim to me is like, yeah, like nothing beats that. But also like going out for snapper and things like that. I just don't have the time just to get to the coast. Whereas, everything's pretty much within an hour's drive of me here. So
Yeah, beautiful. I've seen some pretty big. I think you guys call them yellow belly. We call them callop here, but caught in the lakes in Canberra. Is that they still got a few up there, or?
close to catch them. I've been out a couple of times and I've caught a couple, but not many. Every time I've gone out to try and catch yellows is like I've always ended up catching a cod. The lightest gear ever. So
that's not a bad problem to have.
yeah. It's like, why am I getting massive cod as bycatch?
It's funny, like yellow belly. Like I said, we call them callop. They're a beautiful fish. They're a beautiful. I like eating them, but so they're another one of the fish species that are stocked in these reservoirs. But they also stock silver perch in, and man, silver perch go hard. They're such an underrated fighting fish. So much harder than cod or yellow belly go. So
yeah, nice.
And they just hit lures like no tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want that big impact, and you're like, yes, let's go.
So do you prefer browns or rainbows when it comes to trout?
If I was going to eat one, rainbows, man. Yeah, 100% rainbows. They have like a mild buttery taste in comparison, or maybe I'm just really bad at cooking, but like the browns seem like a little bit drier. I don't know why, but yeah, that's just how I view it anyway. But yeah, definitely rainbows, man.
Yeah, beautiful.
Absolutely.
Were you fly fishing when you were down in Tasmania, or did that start after you got back from Tassie?
Nah, after, yeah. So, and like the hunting started after as well. Obviously, like Tasmania is fairly restricted, just like you guys are. Everything's banned.
Rub it
but
in.
Yeah, Tassie was awesome, man. But like we used to, like I'd go hiking up to visit some old tin mines and stuff, and there'd be like a creek that's like 30 centimeters wide and like as deep as like a coffee mug, and there'd just be like trout sitting in there, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, like unfortunately I wasn't into it back then, so I wish I was, because it would have been awesome down there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to watch the guys fly fishing down there and on the big lakes and the streams and all of that stuff. And you know, they've got an amazing deer area as well, and you know, amazing deer herds, some cool colours kicking down there. And it's just such a shame that they can't bow hunt. And I've said it to all the Tassie guests I've had on here. I'm like, I'd love to go to Tasmania, but I've just got no interest because you can't bow hunt there.
Yeah, literally. And like I'm pretty sure they're only allowed to hunt like a month or something a year too, which is fucking wild.
Yeah, it's one of those things, because they fought for fallow to be a game species. They're managed as a game species, so it's one of those things. If we want these animals as a game species, you know, you're gonna want seasons so you can sort it all out like that. But you know, when they change them to a feral pest, and then the government can shoot them however they want, and, you know, poison them and whatnot. So it's again one of those battles that we're gonna have.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I still remember the seasons that we had up here, like in New South Wales and stuff, and I agreed with it. You know, like leave them alone, and also agree with like not letting every Tom, Dick, and Harry into national parks too. Like these things need somewhere where they can hide from us. You know what I mean? Like otherwise they just disappear. But also, like we were saying earlier, like the onus needs to be back on us a little bit to, you know, to do something about it. You know, especially because it all just comes down to money. Like really, it's just back pocket money. You know, from agriculture and stuff. So. You know, if we can just do a little bit, I think it'll help.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, you know, one of the benefits of what this hunting bill that Shooters, Fishers, Farmers Party are trying to push through. It will just open these things up for people to do this and show that, you know, it's going to make the government money and help small little towns in the areas, compared to helicopter shooting and thermal shooting at night, where they just, you know, go in, shoot everything. They have to close down the parks to do so, where, you know, when hunters are in there, it's quiet, you know, a couple shots here and there, and if people are doing the right thing and taking a few animals out, we can just show that we can do it. And that's the Invasive Species Council's biggest biggest issue at the moment is they say that we can't do it because we let too many things walk. We're trying to grow big deer and grow the deer numbers, so that's why we're not effective at doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's counterintuitive too, like, because the more deer you have, generally, like, yeah, your genetic pool's pretty diverse, but also, like, you start to lack size in your deer too.
Yeah.
So, like, even with national parks and stuff where, like, there's some well-known herds of deer, they could make money out of, like, having minimal amount of people on a tag system for those places.
And
so
that's
it
what
gives us an opportunity to go in there and hunt some of these places. It'd be awesome.
And that's what the ballot system's like in New South Wales. You've got a few balloted areas, which is good for that reason. It's different, but it's good. The ballot system down in Victoria for the hog deer. A month-long season for them, and one tag of a male and female. It works really well. But then you see they're getting targeted in helicopter culling and thermal culling. It's like, so what do you want? Do you want to grow the numbers and have a healthy population because they don't have a healthy population in their homeland, or not?
Yeah, literally. That's like the New Zealand tar thing, man. It's like, well, they're going extinct in their natural range, and instead of being like, okay, well, we can help you with this problem, they're like, nah, obliterate, annihilate, destroy. And I'm like, how backwards are we down here in the Southern Hemisphere, man? Like, it's just retarded for some reason.
Oh man, it's
else extinct because we haven't done enough of that.
It's one of those things, though. It's like, if you want to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole of it all, it's like, if there's no deer on the landscape, they don't have to give out as many, rifles for hunting. Hunting's not a legitimate thing if they knock off all the deer and all the pigs and all the goats, and then they don't have to give out firearms licenses anymore. And that's if you want to go down the extreme, conspiracy rabbit holes.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to you about your South Australian bow band, man. Like, how long until it's really hard to get archery equipment in general? I don't think it's going to happen because it's still a sport, so it'd be extremely difficult to do that. But it's a good idea. I think that's why, they put some restrictions on people buying ammunition and stuff too.
Yeah, it is. And it's with the bow thing, it's like, how can you ban they've tried banning crossbows and bows and that before in South Australia, but it got overturned really quick. But the laws were that stringent, apparently, that if you got a rubber band and a piece of paper and shot that out, that was classed as a bow and arrow and you could get in trouble for it. Like that's if they wanted to, be dicks, but that's just how the laws were written. So but with a bow and arrow, it's like these new machete laws. You can go out and make a bow and arrow. You can go out and make a machete. Like, you just grab a piece of steel, sharpen it up, and you got yourself a machete. It's like, how can you ban these things that are so easily obtained?
Yeah, you can't. You can't. The only thing you're doing is banning things from law-abiding people to start with. Like, it's kind of the definition of being a criminal, yeah? Is like, you don't follow the law to begin with. It's madness.
It is absolute madness. It's depressing. It's hard, and it's hard to get the passion for shooting the bow. Like, for me, bow hunting, like using a bow, is I was shot targets to make sure that I was still on track and the bow was still good and that I could hit it and sight stuff in. Like, that's all target shooting is for me. I don't really get hit, like, unless you're with a couple mates and you're playing some games or try and hit your arrow, all of that type of stuff. Target shooting has no interest to me. Like, using a bow is strictly for bow hunting for me. So it's hard to get the motivation to go out and shoot the bow when you don't have the like when you can't go out and shoot in the state anymore. Like, you have to go into state to do it. It's like 6 hours to cross the border, or it's just, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and I don't know how we even convince, like, the powers to be who have literally zero interest in anything that we do in the outdoors whatsoever. The furthest they go outside is from their office building to the coffee shop. So, but just making sure we're posting the right things to online. Like it's good to have it's great to have a presence, but it's got to be done correctly. Otherwise, you know, if all they see is just albums of death, like it's not a good look, man. It's just not. Like even sometimes I'll be scrolling, I'll be like, some pictures don't sit well with me. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, why does it look like that?
Yeah,
And that, like, all of us.
I get it. I've been guilty of it. The whole cat saga, guilty of being, you know, putting bow hunting in a bad light. And I've admit this many times. There's still people today that blame me for the ban here in South Australia. I had to block guys because they were abusing me and going around Facebook and making fake accounts to contact me and have a go at me for me being the reason that bow hunting got banned, which is another thing that we've spoken about in bow hunting in Australia, or just hunting in general, is ego. It's a hell of a hell of a thing. But hell, when I first got into bow hunting, we all make the mistakes, like, hey, look, I shot this, but you don't take the arrow out, or you don't clean up the blood a little bit, or it's like, oh, look at this shot, this. I shot this fox in the head. Like, look how good the shot is. I got banned from a bunch of the ABA Facebook pages when I was starting, because people were asking how different broadheads worked, and I had photos of ribs and entries and exits, and I was posting those to show people, and it's such a fine line with it all.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Yeah, it was like one of your other podcasts that I'd heard before too. I think it's up to us to educate people too, on doing the right thing, and also how to hunt correctly and do it well. Like the guys up at Cayuga and that, like, they do a lot of that stuff too. I think there's a couple others getting around now. I think that's really good. Like, you can take a nice, respectful photo without just making it just about a dead thing. And also, like, you can get your bow tuned so you're not flagging stuff. Work out how to actually shoot something properly and how to actually, like, even hit a target, rather than just saloon dooring deer all over the country. I think we're not there yet, but I think, like, I can definitely see the change between when I first started bow hunting in the community and what it is now. Like, a lot of those guys aren't, like, either they deleted themselves or they changed their attitude towards it too. I think a lot of people are going that way. Same as I deleted my very first original account and all that sort of stuff, because it looked like an album of death too, man. And it just wasn't a good look. Like, I just woke up one day and I was like, maybe I'm the problem. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not putting out a good educational message to anyone. I'm just here showing people that, like, I can slay a thing, right? And it's like, I've definitely changed in that regard too. And yeah, I try to take quality photos whenever I can. Yeah,
it's a hard thing, because you want to, like, share with your friends and followers and that, like, look, I shot this awesome animal, whether it's a meat animal, whatever. It's like, I love when people post up photos with, hunting photos. I love they're called grip and grins. I love a good grip and grin, because it's, one of your mates is successful, and that's awesome to see. But it's one of those things, like, is an anti-hunter really just going to get upset over, you posting a photo of an animal with an arrow still in it? Are they going to see that as a really, really bad thing? Or are they just going to see you posting a photo with a dead animal without an arrow in it as a really, really bad thing? It's like, they don't really know the difference. It's us putting these limitations on these type of stuff. They're just going to see a dead animal no matter what. They're going to be like, look, this person shot an animal with a bow. Oh, look, this person shot an animal with a bow and the arrow's hanging out. Like, they're not going to make that distinction,
Yeah, well, you definitely don't want one of them on a poster, but
you don't. But it's still, like, again, for us, that's why you don't want it on a poster, because we look at it and we self-regulate with that type of stuff. But looking at from a vegan, they're just going to see a dead animal no matter what. You know, you don't want the photo to be like just full of blood and, you know, guts hanging out, you know, several holes in it from several different arrows or whatnot. We're going to pick up on that rather than, you know, the general outside population. So
Yeah, I think it's good that we self-regulate a little bit. I think it's a good thing. Like, it has to happen. And, you know, I've been many persons fucking menace over it before. But, you know, like, also at the same time, I've been guilty too. You know, I've been guilty plenty of times of posting the wrong thing or whatever, you know what I mean? And, you know, you catch a bunch of trolls and they come in there and they just start blowing you up and you're like, yeah, well, I probably shouldn't have done it, but also at the same time, like, it's a bit of you give them a bit of the middle finger back and just block everyone. But
yeah, look, it happens. We've all been guilty of it, you know. I've posted stuff and someone's like, hey, you know, maybe that's not in the best taste. Yep, understand it. You know, same with the whole cat thing. You know, my mate shot the cat with a bow and the arrow. The footage was the cat running away with an arrow sticking out of it. That wasn't a great look, but you know, I was trying to do the right thing. You know, I was getting all this hate before that, and I was trying to to educate people, and it just made it a little bit worse. But yeah, it's one of those things. But yeah, the self-regulation is good, and this whole battle with social media is a whole new thing for us anyway, not just as hunters. Like, you go from the old school hunters where, you know, hunters should be not, like, you're not supposed to really speak about it. You're not the general public. You know, if they don't know about it, it will be fine. And if they start to know about it, you'll start having issues. And that's what we're having. But we also want to educate people too and try and use this stuff to bring people into the lifestyle.
yeah, and that's sort of like, you know, obviously with my social media now, it's got to be far more educational focused. But I don't need to post dead things to do that either. I don't need to do all that. But like, I can be out bush and I can be, you know, showing people bushcraft because people are really into that sort of stuff and
100%.
carving. You know, I might, you know, tan a hide or you know, cook up some venison over the fire, or you just got to, like, I'm just trying to weed my way through it because I've wrestled with this for years. Like, do I just delete it entirely and just disappear, or do I actually try and be proactive and, you know, like, change some people's minds? Not that I probably ever will, but, you know, also without, you know, just being that young ego-filled driven kid that I was, you know, when I was like 26, 27, and, you know, look at me, I'm awesome. Like, look at my dead thing. Like, I just caped it and took a photo and its tongue's hanging out on the back of my pack. Like, yeah, awesome, dude.
Yeah, I 100%. I get it. I've been there. You know, it's one of those things. But again, I like, as much as those photos might not seem great to the general public, I like seeing someone carrying out, you know, they've got the cape folded up and there's the deer on their pack and, you know, you can see the legs sticking out the pack, because that means they're utilizing that animal, you know. I prefer seeing those photos than, you know, someone shoots something and then, like, they show the photo of the pack out and they've got nothing on their pack. You know, they might just have the head or, you know, two back straps taken out of it. You know, that makes me depressed. But again, it shouldn't, because, you know, like we were saying earlier, we should be able to, should be able to, because we can, and a lot of us choose not to, but, you know, shoot stuff and just leave it to get the numbers down, and, you know, for that conservation side of things.
Yeah, well, like, I'm hoping that I think people have changed a little bit. Like, do you remember, like, what it was like? Like, obviously you've been hunting a bit longer than me and that, but like 10 years ago, people weren't even eating the deer that they shot in the rut. Like, they just weren't at all. Like, people were just ring barking those things and leaving, right? But like, I ate almost like 99.9% of the deer that I've eaten, I've shot out of the rut. And if you treat it well, it just all tastes the same. Like, it's all just, yeah, it's still protein at the end of the day.
Yeah, man.
And obviously, that too. Like you've worked in the meat industry and all that sort of jazz. So if you look after it, it all tastes good. So
Yeah, 100%. There's been maybe 2 animals I haven't been able to eat because they were just too far gone, and that was towards the end of the rut. They were just skin and bone and stunk, and the meat stunk, but there was no real meat to harvest on the animal because they just rutted themselves into a hole. But all the deer you see behind me on the wall there, they've all been eaten. And they've all been shot in the rut. Like, it's that big red stag I shot, it was the start of the rut, he big swollen neck, he was ready to go. And and still is a beautiful eating animal. So it just blows my mind when someone's like, nah, I'll never eat an animal I shoot during the rut. And it's like the smell puts people off, not the meat, they smell it and they're like, oh, I'm not eating that. But when saying
the smell
that,
never put me off after I shot a goat, man. I shot a bill for the first time, dude. Like, I'll just cuddle up next to a ruddy buck now. Like, just don't care. Like, holy dooly, man, do goats reek. I was like, wow, I'm never shooting a billy ever again, man.
Oh, they're smelly buggers. You get used to the smell, especially when you're cutting up 2,000 of them a day. You get, and that's the goats that we're sending through the abattoirs. They're sending the biggest goats that they could find because they were worth the money and they were the stinkiest bastards. But in saying that, with goats, I don't eat billies. Like, I'll shoot young goats, nannies. And that's it for me. When it comes to a ruddy billy, like, I'm not touching the thing. But again, it's other people do eat them. We've got goats at work that we sell, and the Indians and Muslims come and grab them. And which ones do they buy? The biggest, stinkiest billies every single time because they find them that they taste better.
Yeah, right. They probably do have like a more of a gamey flavour, I'd imagine. I didn't eat mine, man. I was like, no way. I was dry reaching, man. I was like, oh, dude, take the photo. I'm leaving, man. So, yeah, I've done it. Been guilty. I've left stuff.
Yeah, she's a strong smell, man. It's a strong smell. And look, I in a sense, I love that smell because when you're walking through the bush and you're chasing goats and you smell that, you're like, oh, we're on. Like, they're around the corner. Like, yeah. I've got mates that can smell deer, especially ruddy deer when you're coming up, and I haven't really got used to the smell yet. I can't pick them up when I'm out bush, but if I'm coming across a ruddy billy, I know that there's going to be a goat there. And it's the same at work. I'll roll into the depot in the morning, and windows down, I'm like, oh, the goats are rutting. I know the smell straight away.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, no, I've never been able to really smell deer. I'm sure I probably have caught whiffs of that before, but I'm like, I don't know if that's a kangaroo, like wet dog. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I smell kangaroos quite a bit, but yeah, I can't pick up on the deer scent like some of my other mates. Their noses up in the air, they're sniffing leaves and licking bark, and
yeah.
They're almost better than having a hunting dog with how keen their senses are, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on in the conversation, top 5 dream animals anywhere in the world, money not being an issue. What would you go chase?
Sheep.
Sheep?
Just all the sheep.
All the sheep species.
All the sheep. Yeah. Absolutely. That'd be like, that's, if I sit down and watch hunting on YouTube, it's always a sheep hunt, man. Like, every single time I'm like, oh, I'd love that. If I could get my fat ass up a hill, like, I'd probably have to do it with a rifle, but if money was unlimited, yeah, I'd try with the bow for sure. Absolutely.
The North American species, or like the like European Asian species, like the Eurasia species, or just absolutely all of them?
yeah just racking them up. Yeah, I think they're the sickest animals, man. Like, and it's just something we don't have, and I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool.
What is it? Is it because we don't have them you're so attracted to them, or is it just where they live? Like, what is it about the sheep that...
Well, they're so much different to, obviously, like your domesticated animals. and where they live, like, yeah, it's absolutely stunning countryside, and it just looks extremely, extremely difficult to do.
Yeah.
And also, like, it's not super obtainable for, like most people, let alone, my broke ass over here in Australia. So, yeah, yeah. If money was no issue, man, like, yeah, I'd be gone straight to North America and then Asia after that.
That's wicked. That's wicked. Yeah, they are cool. To me, I like pretty animals. So sheep wise, mouflon are like the most attractive sheep species for me to go chase. Like I'd love to go shoot a mouflon just because their colours and their horn patterns. I've shot a high fence aoudad and they're just a cool looking animal. They've got the chaps on them and you think goats are a bad smelling animal? Wait till you smell an aoudad.
Well, when you said attractive sheep, I thought you were from New Zealand for a moment.
Nah, not a Kiwi, man, not a Kiwi. and as I was saying it, I'm like, oh shit, Cody's gonna make some memes about that.
Yep, he's gonna be all over that.
No, it's hilarious. But yeah, like hunting tahr has made like just blown my mind when it comes to chasing those species. So I'd definitely, if I ever got the opportunity to go chase those sheep species, I'd give it a go. But before I do those North American ones, I need to go get myself a chamois because I didn't get to see one when I was over in New Zealand last time, and they're a cool critter.
Yeah, I'd like to get over to New Zealand at some stage because, like you say, like that is obtainable for us. You know what I mean? Like it's a quick hop, skip, and a jump over the pond there, and you basically find out where you're going to go and just chop her in or walk in, do whatever you want. Hunting.
Look, man, it's so obtainable for anyone that's in Australia. Like, if you're a bow hunter, it's sporting equipment. Like, you don't need to. You just get your dock permit for the area you're going. It's free, and you just hike up the mountain. You drive to where you're going, hire a full drive, or if you want to walk longer, hire a 2-wheel drive and head up the mountain. They've got thousands of these huts that you can go stay at. So if you want comfort, you can hike up to a hut and stay in a hut. Some you have to book, some you don't. You just rock up. It's so cool.
Yeah. I've never been there. I think if I was going to do it, I'd probably go with someone who's been there before. So I'm like, one, don't die. Two, yep. I know where I am. But yeah, I'd absolutely love to get over there sometime in probably the next 5 to 10 years.
Do it.
It's getting harder to walk now. I'm not even old.
Oh, even the first time I went to New Zealand, I was 24 and I struggled. So
yeah, that makes me feel really confident now.
Oh, that's just because I'm unfit. The guys that I'm with, they all had durries hanging out their mouth, a can of Jacks in their hand, and I could not keep up with them.
Oh, beautiful.
But it's cool. It's a cool place, and it's one thing for any Australian that wants to do an overseas hunt. Do that, and with the beautiful thing with social media, make some friends over there, swap some hunts. They want to come over here and kill shit, we want to go over there and kill shit, so swap those hunts, and it's easy enough done. You don't have to spend big money on doing it if you make the right contacts. Yeah,
absolutely.
So
yeah, I just want to kill the 2 last species of deer that I haven't got to here in Australia yet. So I want to get that sambar deer and I want to get a hog deer. So
I know the feeling. I got 2 left as well, and you've got both of them sitting on your wall. I need to get a chittle and a rooster.
Yeah, well, they're not easy to come by either, man. Like, considering like in some of the places where their population is monstrous.
Yeah.
You just can't get access, and if you do, it's like 13 acres.
Yeah,
like it's just a struggle.
Yeah, that's what I've heard with the rooster. There's a few guys I know, they've got access, but it's the tiny little blocks that they're trying to bow hunt, and it's just like they're moving through. They're not staying on the property, so it's absolutely crazy. With a hog deer, do you put in for the ballot or?
No, I haven't, but I'm gonna start. Yeah.
Do it, man. You're overdue for that. Like Cody, I think he's 16, 17 years applying with not drawing. A fella that I went on the island with, he drew as an emergency on his 20 something year.
Yeah, right.
So you need a when
Probably won't be ready for it, and like get it like first time or second time around, I'll be like, oh shit, just scrambling.
don't don't worry. I was 6 years in and I was scrambling once I drew it too, because it's a lot of information you need to take in, and they're a cool little species.
Yeah, absolutely. And considering we're the only place on the planet where we can hunt them,
I
like
think
it's what I want to tick off.
there's a couple places you can hunt them, like Texas and Africa. I think they have them high fence.
Okay.
And then there's another country that has them low fence. I can't remember which, but I've been picked up on it a couple of times when I said Australia is the only place that you can hunt them. But you know, we've got the best population of free ranging hog deer.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So
yeah, nice.
what would be your favorite thing to cook with hunted court game? Like, is your favorite? What's your go-to meal when you've shot a deer or caught a trout?
Oh, like venison stroganoff pie, man. Like straight away. I'm so depleted after a hunt too. I'm like, just give me all the fats, man. Like, let's get in here with some sour cream and some tomatoes and just go to town. Wrap it all up in pastry.
Oh. Yeah, I love a good pie. I've never made a venison pie, so I need to get on that. There's a wicked bakery in Adelaide here, and they do a smoked brisket double cheese jalapeno pie. Like, oh, that would be so good to do with venison.
Absolutely.
I love a good pie, as you can tell.
I go. I'm gonna have to move to New Zealand so I can eat their pies, because all the ones over here are pretty rubbish in comparison.
No way, man. Nah. The New Zealanders are dreaming.
By the way,
they don't know a good pie until it slaps them in the face when they come to Australia. But that will be a battle with all those Kiwis.
Yeah, got to stir everyone up.
100%. You know, we both do that well, so.
No, definitely. Yeah.
So, how do you see the general views from the public on hunting and hunters?
Well, I think like the general public's view, and until you like talk to them or educate them, or if someone comes over and sees what's on my wall and then asks some genuine questions, I think most of the public perception would probably be like they're knuckle dragging Neanderthals, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you being so primitive? You can buy chicken nuggets at Macca's, bro. You know, like, yeah, I don't think they're our biggest fans, but every time someone new or, you know, one of my wife's friends comes into the home and they see what's on the wall there, you know, they generally ask questions and they're interested. I'm not sure if they like it or would ever want to do it themselves, but it's good when you can actually like tell them, you know, what you do and why you do it, for sure.
No, that's
I think most people are open to the idea of it.
Yep.
You know, open to hearing about it anyway.
Yeah, no, I get the same vibes, especially when that fallow behind me was on the lounge room wall before we upgraded our TV. We'd get lots of questions from, you know, different people that come into the house, so that was always a good laugh. How would you personally change the public views on hunting and hunters?
Oh, man, like we were saying earlier, like it just comes down to education and like putting the right image out there about ourselves, you know what I mean? Like we need to show that we're outdoorsmen, that we're not just killers.
Yep.
You know, that's how I see it. That's how like I'm going to try and approach it. Obviously, yeah, like I've wrestled with that for years. Like, how do we get it through that we aren't Neanderthals and we're not just killing everything?
Yep.
So
no, 100% agree with you there. And the way you're going with your Instagrams, I reckon, is a great way of doing it. You know, you're chucking up all your woodworking stuff. You know, you're going to start building a bow. you're doing all of this stuff. You're posting, these beautiful pictures of trout and all of this other stuff, which will be absolutely awesome.
I'm right into my homesteading type stuff as well. Like I keep bees, I grow gardens. I do all that sort of stuff as well, which I think is a good sort of niche to try and cross people over.
Yep.
Is like that self-reliant homesteading type people and bring them in first. Like, if that makes sense. That's my idea anyway. It could be just crazy, but yeah.
Yeah, no, look, I 100% have seen it, especially since COVID. You're getting more and more people who have those interests getting into hunting and, buying property. Like, that's one thing I found, my line of work, I'm chatting to different trades every single day and going to houses and, people renovating, people building. And, you see a lot of these, you go to these country jobs and, they're building a house on 5 acres and they've got all these veggie gardens and trees and a few sheep. And they're like, we didn't realize how fragile, everything was until COVID, and that made us want to buy some property and start having our own sheep and butchering it and, growing vegetables and fruit and whatnot. And, I get chatting, I'm like, oh, I hunt. And they're like, oh, no way. Can you tell me about that? And give them heaps of advice and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, if you ever want to kill one of your sheep and learn how to do it, hit me up and I'll come over. And, I'm a butcher at being a butcher. I'm not the greatest butcher, but I can show you the basics and primal cuts and stuff like that. I can't show you all the fancy shit, but I can show you the primal side of things.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, obviously I've got experience in the boning industry. Like, I can get it off bone. I'm not going to make it look like a really nice steak, but I can get it off the bone for you.
Yeah, that's it. I like bone in, so I'm not taking stuff off the bone if I'm cooking curries and slow cooks. The whole thing's in there. I love shanks and I love ribs. I just put a bunch of meat in the freezer the other day, and I've got the ribs in there. I've sectioned them all up, and I didn't do them fancy. I cut them into 3-4 rib sections and then cut those in half. I had my little tomahawk on the kitchen table, cutting them all up. They're not pretty, but they're going to taste bloody good.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you crack your bones, some of them, for marrow and stuff?
I've done it. I'm a big bone broth guy. I love making bone broth. So, on a cold morning, I start getting sick, whatever. I've got jars and jars of bone broth in the freezer. So I boil all of my bones. I'll cut them down, roast them, chuck them straight into a pot with a bunch of garlic and salt and some other herbs and spices, and boil them for 8 to 10 hours and then jar it all up. So that's how I like utilizing the bones.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Oh, it is better than a coffee in the morning. If you heat up some bone broth, it is like, I've always been a broth type person. Like, I love soups, I love noodles, like the broth side of stuff. So having a cup of bone broth is so good, especially when you're sitting around the fire. You heat some bone broth up over the fire. You get like the smokiness to it as well. It's so good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I drink coffee for the effect only, because I think it tastes like someone just put out cigarettes in my drink. But that's the only reason I drink coffee, man. It's just to wake up.
Oh, I run off the coffee too, but yeah, a nice cup of bone broth on a cold morning around a fire or at home, it just soothes the soul, especially when you, I bone out a leg of venison and you've got the femur bones. I crack them, chuck them in the oven, roast them, and then chuck them straight into a pot, and it's just, the soul warming and soul clenching stuff. So it's so good. And like, even people at work, they're like, why do you do that? And I give them some, and they're like, oh, that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
And you can use it for cooking too. Like, if I've got a round roast of venison, I'll chuck 2 jars of bone broth in the slow cooker, get home, and that venison's fallen apart. And then I re-jar that, like I strain and re-jar that broth, and it's like double concentrate. Like, it tastes even stronger, and it's just so good. And if you guys haven't tried it, try it. Like, just roast some bones, shoulder bones, whatever, and chuck them in a pot with, herbs and vegetables, onion, carrot, whatever, and then just boil it for 8 hours and then jar it up. It's so good. I highly recommend it.
You're making me hungry, dude.
Yeah, oh, trust me, dude. That's why I love hunting. Like the food aspect is a mega, mega thing for me. Um,
Oh,
moving
you
on.
seen the price?
Oh, go on.
I said you seen the price of meat.
Yeah, yeah, I have. But and that's one of those things. Like I'm not one of those guys that only eat venison, and stuff that I've cooked.
Yeah.
I love a good beefsteak. I love pork, and I'm not getting pork down here. So I love a good pork belly. Like, so yeah. Moving on to the last question, and it's the hardest question, but my favorite question: what is hunting to you?
Oh, dude. What is hunting to me? What is hunting to me? I think it's, oh man, that's an extremely difficult question, dude. I think hunting just in like to people in general, especially myself, is like electricity to the light bulb, dude. Like you can't have one without the other. Like we're humans, like we've been doing this for hundreds of thousands of years, and I just I don't know, man. There's something about it that just feels like you should be doing it. Man, like I can't think of any good words to describe what hunting is to me, man. I'm sorry, but
nah, that's perfect. What you said.
So
Nah, what you said is absolutely perfect, man. Yeah, it's just one of those things, and I say it every time. Like it's the way everyone describes it, I 100% relate to. And I'm waking up, I'm thinking about hunting. I'm going to sleep, I'm thinking about hunting. Whether it's the next hunt or past hunt, or rolling over scenarios in my head as I'm falling asleep. It's just a constant thing for me.
yeah, I go crazy if I'm stuck in the house for too long. Like even my wife should be like, "Can you just go and hunt or fish or do something and just leave so I can get around the house in peace instead of watching you just walk tracks everywhere." So
yeah, I don't get told as bluntly as that, but I get you want to go hunting this weekend? It's like, you can go out hunting this weekend.
yeah,
that's her telling me that I need to go out hunting.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good that they can see it too. Like, and obviously you got a good wife that lets you go and do whatever you want when you want. Well, obviously within reason. We've all got families.
100%.
It chews up a lot of valuable time. So
it does. But anyway, Matty, thank you for coming on. It's been an awesome chat, and it's been something we've had on the cards for quite a while. I've been wanting you on for a while, and you've wanted to come on. It's just making things work, and it's been an awesome chat, man. So thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
If people are interested in what they've heard and they don't follow you on social media, or they used to follow you on social media, where can they find you now?
The Journeyman Way. So yeah, that's my page now, and yeah, basically everything that we've spoken about is what I'm going to try and put on there. So hopefully people find it interesting anyway.
They sure will, man. I find it interesting, and I'm sure everyone that listens to will as well. So, I'll put the links up and tag you when this episode goes up. It'll be a few weeks away. Like I said, I've smashed out a couple this week. Feeling a bit like Joe Rogan. Four podcasts in 1 week is a new record for me.
You've been putting in the work.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've been slack lately. Like I've been like I said to you, like it's been getting to those Sunday before the episode goes up, I'll record. Then the Monday I'll chuck the episode together and chuck it up on the hosting site, and then it goes up the Tuesday morning, where I'm just like, I really need to start getting ahead, and in case, because I haven't, luckily, apart from the second episode, I haven't missed an episode yet. So I need to get a good backlog and have a good backlog and be ahead, so that way if I do go hunting, I've got a backlog to fall behind.
Stress about it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, anyway, Matty, I'll let you go, but thank you very much for coming on, and I hope you've enjoyed yourself, and I've really enjoyed the chat.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude.
Anytime, man. Catch you later. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Hunting Connection Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed our discussions and gained valuable insights into the world of hunting, fishing, and the outdoors. To stay connected with us and never miss out on an update, please be sure to follow us on social media, all at Hunting Connection Podcast. We appreciate your support and would love for you to share the podcast with your friends and family. Don't forget to tag us in your hunting photos on social media and let us know about your experiences. Your feedback is invaluable to us, so please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Together, we continue growing and delivering more captivating episodes for all hunting enthusiasts. Stay connected, stay informed, and keep pursuing your passion for the hunt. Until next time, happy hunting.